Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going tonight, guys? Probably pretty freaking good after that. I know people are gonna say it's a close game, but it was a dominating win for the Broncos over the Raiders this past Sunday. But before we get into everything we want to talk about tonight, please like, comment, subscribe on this video, guys. Also hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. Share this video with your friends, your family, anybody that's a Broncos fan or a football fan in general. Really help us out. We'd appreciate it. So, first thing I want to get into is the recap from the Broncos versus Raiders game. Mohammed, what was your gut reaction to the game?
Eddie, anytime we beat the Raiders, doesn't matter what year is it, in the future, in the past, I'm happy. So I'm really happy about the win, obviously. What I'm really happy about is actually the offense. Seems like they sort of figured out, a winning recipe, if you would. The running game, I mean, my God, like RJ Harvey, who was that? Yeah, exactly. Maybe the whole thing with J.K. Dobbins kind of made some, positive things for us, right? He's actually shown some highlights. He's shown like his talent. I'm happy about that. I'm happy about all the running backs actually. The offense in general, I'm very happy with. The defense did pretty good, except for that first play, given that touchdown. It's okay. I mean, they played better than they played the Commanders, so they actually did rebound. I'm happy about that. Eddie, the way Sean Payton executed like the plan that he did, controlling the clock, running the ball, defense. That's what we've been saying all this time. Just do that, and we'll win. We don't have to impress anybody. I do not care. This game was good, Eddie, but it wasn't like flashy by any means, right? I mean, he played it the way we wanted him to play. Please, Sean Payton, just keep playing like this until the end. Let's go to the playoffs and head to the Super Bowl. And I just want to emphasize something, Eddie. This is our season to go play the Super Bowl. I don't know what might happen next season. We might lose players, we might lose Vance Joseph. This whole equation couldn't be the same. So, we should really try to go and win it this season. And I honestly feel like the Broncos are able to do that. They control their own destiny. They beat the Raiders. They have the tiebreaker against the over the Patriots. We got Green Bay next week. How do I feel about that? We could talk about that later. But overall, Eddie, I'm happy. We beat the Raiders. We swept them for the second season. So I'm happy about that, man. Let's go, Broncos. I'll give you the mic, Eddie. Go ahead.
Whew. Well, to start off, you were right about one thing. We dominated the game. We dominated time of possession. I think it was like Broncos had almost 40 minutes. The
Mm-hmm.
Raiders had like 20 minutes or just
Yeah.
under 20 minutes. We dominated the game on offense. And that's what I've been screaming for all season. We need to control the pace of these games. We need to control the clock. And a lot of games this year that has not been the case, but this past week against the Raiders, it was the case. We dominated time of possession in that game. Um, and the funny thing about it is like, dude, the Raiders are so bad. Oh my god. And I know people are gonna look at that and be like, well, it was the Raiders. You should have won that game. It doesn't matter. Like the Raiders season's on the line, even though I think they're ass, they're terrible. Teams like that are always still dangerous, especially in your division. A division rival that literally has nothing to lose, they're gonna throw everything at the wall they can, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how bad they are. And again, and I'm not trying to, compare the Raiders to the Broncos at all this season. I'm not doing that. But one wrong bounce or one bounce goes their way, it could flip the game. That's just the way the NFL
True.
works.
True. Any
Um,
given Sunday.
yep. Um, and I want to take this, I want to talk about this too, is that the fact that people are like, well, you guys only won 24-17. You only won by 7 points. Yeah, but if you actually watch the game, we dominated the Raiders. The one, what was it? 17. I think it was like they scored two touchdowns and a field goal in that game. That second touchdown, that last field goal, dude, those were garbage time, especially
Garbage
the
time.
field goal.
Exactly.
If you want to get technical, that game was 14-24. Like that
Yep.
field goal at the end, that literally didn't mean nothing. Which I want to ask your thoughts about this real quick, Mom, before I get farther into the game on my comments. Have you been seeing the videos going around saying this game was fixed? Not because the Broncos won, but
Mm.
because I think the spread was like 8.5, and a lot of people bet on the Broncos to cover that. And that field goal at the end, a lot of people that bet on this game are really ticked off because they lost their money because the Raiders literally went for a nothing field goal. It was 5 seconds left. You weren't coming back. You were down
I
10.
honestly, Eddie, I don't know. I didn't hear about the whole being fixed, but I was like, what in the world is the Raiders doing? What is that? It
They're
did not
saying
make
they
sense to
did
me.
that to
On
cover the
purpose?
spread.
Yeah.
Basically to cover the spread. It wasn't like the fix was in the Broncos were going to lose or the Broncos were going to
Oh,
win.
okay.
It was just to cover the spread where all these people betted, that the Broncos would cover it, the 8.5. And instead of instead of the Broncos winning by 10, they only won by 7 because the Raiders kicked a meaningless field goal. It's like people were saying, well, it was 5 seconds left. Even making the field goal, it was like a 40 or 50-yard field goal or something. It was going to take the whole 5 seconds to even get that field goal through for it to, the whole play to end. And it was like they basically just did it to cover the spread. That was it.
It was weird though, Eddie. Like doing that, going with the field goal, it was weird. But
Well, that's what people are saying. It was the fix was in to take people's money away because a lot of people betted that the Broncos would cover, which they would have because any normal team in that situation most likely would have went for the Hail Mary.
exactly.
They would have kicked the field goal. Like, okay, you're going to kick the field goal and get what 3 points closer and a 10.
Exactly.
You're losing by 10.
Doesn't mean. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying I believe. I'm just saying that's the rumor going on right now. Uh, but with all that said, man, the Broncos offense was amazing. They were lights out, 24 points. Now, I said before, Sean Payton's offense is usually averaging anywhere from 24 to 28 points a game. But Bo Nix was on fire. I mean, he didn't have any, passing touchdowns, whatever. He had one rushing touchdown. I think I can't remember exact stat line. I think it was like 30 something passes completed, like 30 out of 40 something passes completed, 212 yards. His passer rating was really good. He played well. He had the one rushing touchdown. And there's something else I want to talk to you about, Mohammed. Something I've been seeing on Twitter a lot the last couple of days, which makes me laugh hysterically. But we'll get to that in a minute. But RJ Harvey, man, I hate it for Dobbins, dude. I loved watching Dobbins. He was so much fun. He was good. I wanted to sign Dobbins to a contract extension at the end of this year. And like I said before, ever since his injury, I don't think that's going to be plausible. Or not really
Probably
plausible.
not.
I don't think it's going to happen. He's 26. He's had, the ACL injury. Now he's got, his foot's all screwed up and he's out for the rest of the season. I mean, they say if the Broncos make the Super Bowl, he could be back by that time. But I don't see a contract extension coming for J.K. Dobbins, especially if R.J. Harvey finishes out the season like he finished out this Raiders game.
Yeah.
If that happens, then with Dobbins' injury and R.J. Harvey, pretty much, going off like he did in the Raiders, if he can do that the rest of the season, I don't see Dobbins coming back. I hate to say it. I would still want him to come back, honestly. Even with R.J. Harvey, having his breakout game, I'd still want Dobbins to come back. But Harvey had a hell of a game. He had 100 yards from scrimmage. He had 75 yards rushing and 25 yards in the passing game. So Harvey, I think that's the next jersey I'm going to get, him and Benito. But man, this game was so much fun. The Broncos dominated, and a big thing with this game, the Broncos couldn't really clinch anything and I'm sure you read about this, Mohammed, before the game on Sunday. The Broncos now have the tiebreaker over the Patriots in every scenario. Like, if we end up with the same record as the Patriots, we get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So, and the Patriots schedule, it's their last 4 games are Buffalo, Ravens, Jets, and Dolphins. Not exactly in that order. I'm not sure. The Broncos have the Packers, the Jags, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. But something that's been going on Twitter, Mom, I want to get your thoughts on this, and we'll get back to some more of the game stuff, is that I know it's trolling, Bronco fans, Patriots fans. God, this feels like 2015 again. They're saying that Drake May and the Patriots, Drake May's better than Bo Nix, and the Patriots are better than the Broncos. And people are pointing out, excuse me, that the Patriots had like an easier schedule than the Broncos this entire year. The only team the Patriots have really played, which they beat, I'll give them credit for that, they beat, was the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
The Broncos have beaten the number 1 defense. They have beaten the number 1 offense. The number
Yep.
one defense in their house, mind you, the Houston Texans. We beat them at their place. We beat the number one offense. Granted, it was in Denver. We beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and we beat the Philadelphia Eagles in their house, undefeated Super Bowl champs. And looking at it, the Patriots have like the easiest schedule or the second easiest schedule in the NFL. The Broncos have like, from what I seen last night, they have a middle of the pack schedule. So it's not super, super hard, but it was middle of the pack. But there was also another stat that said these remaining games in the NFL, or the remaining games from each team, the Broncos have the strongest strength of schedule left in the NFL. Like we have the hardest games to play left in the NFL. The Patriots have one of the easiest. And like I said, the Patriots got the Bills this week, then they got the Ravens and the Dolphins and Jets. I can't remember who's before that, Dolphins or Jets. The Broncos have the Packers, who are really good. They're fighting for the division in their uh, division and kind of fighting for the conference. You've
Jacksonville.
got Jacksonville, who I'm not really. I mean, I'm not going to say they're like world beaters, but they're competing for their division too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Kansas City Chiefs, but I don't know. By that time, the Chiefs might actually be out of the playoffs by week 17. I don't know. But they can still play their starters in week 17 and play spoiler to the Denver Broncos if the Broncos are still trying to fight for that one seed. And then you got Chargers week 18. But what's your thoughts on this, Mohammed? What do you think about Patriots fans saying that Drake May is better, which I don't personally think he is. I like Drake May. I like watching him play. He's fun to watch. But with all the games they played between each other, like I'm not gonna lie, Drake May has a little bit better stats, but he's played an easier strength of schedule than the Denver Broncos have, and he's got more fourth quarter comebacks, and he's had more passing yards in a game than Drake May. But what are your thoughts on this, Mohammed?
I mean, honestly, Eddie, it's kind of hard to gauge. You really can't tell by just looking at the numbers like that. But I mean, the fact still is that the Patriots did have the easier schedule. They have the easiest schedule remaining too. So honestly, like, there's only one way to find out. I'm sure we're gonna play them at some point, in the playoffs, right? I mean, we are gonna meet at some point. This should settle it. But we have the best. We have the better defense. You can say whatever you want to say about the offense, but our defense is better. Defense wins championships. So if we do play them, our defense is going to be, a big factor in that game. So they're just trolling. A lot of people are just jealous, honestly, Eddie, of the Broncos. So that's where it's all stems from. But I'm not really letting it bother me because I'm sure we are going to meet at some point, and then that will just settle everything. And the Broncos offense is coming along, Eddie. We were complaining about it, but now I'm being very impressed. The past, 3-4 weeks, I've been impressed. They've been doing well. So they're only getting better. So we shall see.
The Broncos defense, like they've been playing solid. I mean, they only allowed basically 17 points to the Raiders. The week before, the Commanders, they allowed 26.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs, they only allowed 17. But like, I'm not going to sit here and say the defense has been playing terrible or anything, but they've been, they've been a little sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just wish for once that, the offense and defense can play about the similar, at similar pace. I'm tired of 1 week the offense not really playing up to par like it should, playing what we know they can do. The defense having to carry them, and then like the next week, the defense ain't playing up to par like what we know they can do, and the offense has got to carry them. Can't we just play a complete game on both sides?
Exactly.
Just 1 week, just where I ain't got to stress,
But Eddie, if we want to beat the Green Bay Packers, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it next week, we have to do that. We have to play well all phases.
Oh yeah. And I think we will. Like we like I said, we dominated the Raiders. But they're a disaster. Like they're fighting for the number 1 overall pick. I mean, there's rumors going around right now that Pete Carroll is probably going to be fired at the end of this year because of how bad they are. And then Geno Smith, he's absolute dog water. Like he is not.
He's always
good.
getting hurt every time he plays the Broncos. Like, oh, and then he just watching from the sideline. I'm like, dude,
you know what it is, Mohammed?
What?
The last 2 times we met Geno Smith, he was in Seattle. I think it was 2024. We opened up our season in Seattle in 2022, and both times we played Geno Smith, and he beat us. Where I was like, ain't happening this time. Nope.
They're coming after him
both times.
He was playing scared too. So.
Oh yeah, we beat him up relatively well on the defense. So,
Yep.
but yeah, that's what I want to see. They dominated in this game, the Broncos defense. Honestly, in my opinion, they only allowed 14 points because honestly, 7 points if you want to be technical, because the last touchdown and field goal were garbage time points. They weren't coming back and winning that game. Even if the score was close at that point, the Broncos were just dominating the Raiders. They were controlling time of possession. Like, we would not give the Raiders the ball back.
Nope.
The offense is going to go down the field and get points somehow. And speaking of which, my boy Marvin Mims with a 40-something yard punt return. Let's go. Beautiful. His first punt return in his NFL career. 40, I think it was like 40-something yards. What were your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
Oh, I'm telling you, Eddie, I was so excited for him because I didn't think he was still running. Like, I felt like they hit him, but he was still running, and somehow, somewhere, he managed to do it, man. It was very exciting. I'm happy. Hopefully, more to come.
Yeah, like whenever I was watching it, because on the special teams, like, yeah, special teams needs to be good because special teams helps you win games. It does.
Yeah.
But whenever I seen him run to that big group of guys, I'm like, okay, he's down. Exactly. I looked away. I started walking away from the TV because I'm like, oh, he's tackled, he's down, because usually, they don't break off big runs. And then I hear, like, I'm in the kitchen, I hear the TV just start roaring, the fans start roaring. I'm like, what the hell? And I look over, and there's Marvin Mims walking into the end zone. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I missed something?
And he was calling block stuff. Like, it was really cool.
I was so mad I walked away from that and missed that whole thing. I saw the replay of it, but whenever it was live, I missed it because I walked away because I'm like, oh, he's down. Damn it. But with all that said, but like I said, the Broncos, they're playing real well. The Raiders, they're fighting for the first pick in the draft. I would not be surprised if the Raiders have one of the top 2 picks in the draft. They fire their coach, Pete Carroll. They hire a new coach, and that's a wrap. Because what was Pete Carroll and Geno Smith brought in to do? They were brought in to fix the culture and, be that tough, gritty win that all teams would have to face. Dude, they've been the first game against the Raiders this year, it was a tough, gritty win. It was 10-7. This one, we absolutely just destroyed them. And it's been like that for the Raiders all year, man. They've been getting their butts kicked by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't see a difference. Actually, I do see a difference from this year's Raiders to last year's Raiders. Last year's Raiders actually were more competent and fighting harder. This team looks worse. You got rid of, what was his name? Who was their coach last year, Mohammed? Do you remember? It was, I forgot his name.
Yeah, me too. They keep changing coaches. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was I forgot his name, but
he was like a defensive player, right, Eddie? Like a former defensive player.
He was an ex-Patriots player, if I remember right.
Yeah,
it was. I keep wanting to say Aiden O'Connell, but that was the quarterback, not the head coach. Yeah. I can't remember what his name was, but anyway, he had the Raiders more physically ready to go on Sunday on game day than Pete Carroll does.
True.
Pete Carroll looks like, I don't know if it's his age, whatever, but this team just does not look ready to go every single week, man. It really showed this past Sunday. They did not look prepared.
That means the culture did not change, Eddie. He doesn't have any fire on his players. So
no, and that was the whole reason why he was brought in, was to change the culture of this team.
Yep.
Like, everybody knew that the Raiders were going to be bad this year. We knew it. But we thought the culture, Pete Carroll would come in, change the culture, and they would win some games they probably shouldn't have. And we thought we'd see that, hunger, that fight, that maybe a little bit of that dog, that, we know we might lose, but we're going to make you earn this win type of mentality. You don't see that with the Raiders. You saw that more last year with their head coach from last year than you do with Pete Carroll this year. So I don't think he's going to last. Especially I can't remember who the Raiders play this week. I have to look it up, but whoever it is, the Browns.
It's not like they're going to win, right?
No, I don't think they're going to. But moving on to the next topic, I kind of want to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit. So the Kansas City Chiefs played the Houston Texans in KC this past week, okay? And I'm not going to lie, they got dominated. Houston just put the smackdown on them. That defense was all over Patrick Mahomes. They could not complete passes. Kelsey looks old. Like I said this after the game. He's done. The boy should have just retired after the Super
Mhm.
Bowl. Chris Jones looked good. I thought he quit on his team in that Jags game earlier this year, whenever the Chiefs played the Jags. But he was the only reason why the Chiefs were even somewhat in this game. It wasn't Mahomes. It wasn't Kelsey. It was Chris
Nope.
Jones. But they got whooped. Andy Reid, I think, made a dumb mistake on that first fourth down, that 4th and 1 on their own 31-yard line. It's like,
Mhm.
dude, your defense is holding up well. I would have just punted the ball there.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud at that point was not moving the ball. Like they were struggling. And then they give them the ball back in their territory at their 30-yard line, basically. And that pretty much ended the game, in my opinion. The Chiefs, Kelsey, they all looked dejected. They did not look like they wanted to be there. Kelsey looked like he was ready to be like, oh man, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I on a beach in Hawaii or some shit? Um, so, but the Chiefs look bad. They are now 6-7. That stupid meme's in my head. Uh, the Chiefs are now 6-7. God damn, I did it again. The Chiefs are 6-7, and that loss against the Houston Texans eliminated them from the AFC West contention. It eliminated them. And now they're literally fighting for their playoff hopes. But what were your thoughts on that game, Mohammed?
I mean, honestly, Eddie, like the Texans. I mean, their defense is very scary. You know,
Not for Bo
it
Nix.
was funny watching. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, it was funny watching the Chiefs lose like that. You know, it was really funny. And like you said, Kelsey like couldn't do much, and they were getting hit. They were getting dominated. They couldn't get rid of the ball. I mean, it was just fun to watch. But I mean, the dynasty is pretty much over already. They have Kelsey needs to freaking retire, go get married, whatever the case is. You know, Andy Reid, I don't know. Maybe he will retire, maybe he wouldn't, but they have to rebuild, Eddie. I mean, and the thing is, like Mahomes, it's not like he doesn't look like himself, Eddie. I don't know if he's like deteriorating or is the all line or, but he's not himself. That's not the Mahomes we're used to, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they lost. I'm glad they lost.
I was watching a video earlier. Um, the Chiefs are done. Like their dynasty is over, and it. I'm not saying Mahomes and the Chiefs can't make the Super Bowl, or not the Super Bowl, the playoffs, and the future. But for the next couple of years, they're done. Like, I was watching a video earlier that the offensive line's in shambles. Kelsey's gonna retire. I was watching someone that was showing uh game film and stats showing that Mahomes is starting to decline, which is wild to think at 30. I mean, yeah, most players that hit 30, they start declining, but that's like receivers, corners, linebackers, stuff like usually offensive linemen, defensive linemen, quarterbacks, they can last well into their 30s. And someone compared him to Russell Wilson. Now, I'm not saying I believe that, but they're his statistical decline. It's like
Yeah.
pretty much like Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle before he came to Denver. He's not doing what he needs to do. Like his stats are still pretty good. 22
Mhm.
touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I can't remember how many the passer rating he has, but it's just like you watch the film, he's starting to decline. Like I said, offensive lines in shambles. They have no run game. Their receivers are a
He's not.
joke. Kelsey's going to retire, and there's three big players. I think, and if I remember correctly, they're all on the defensive side. Three big key starters on their defense are up for contracts this year. The Chiefs are $31 million over the cap right now.
Wow.
They're paying all these, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. Mahomes signed that 10-year contract back in like the summer of 2020, before the season started. After he won his first Super Bowl in 2019. They gave Patrick Mahomes that big contract, and it was a 10-year, 400 something $1 million contract. And
Yeah.
basically, what it was is, they paid him, and then for like the last 5 years, they've been pushing money back, pushing money back, pushing money back, pushing money back. He is now in year 6 of that contract, and it's a 10-year contract. They're going to have to start paying Patrick Mahomes this money they've been pushing back for years that they've been restructuring. They got aging stars or offensive lines in shambles. Three other big key defensive players are going to be leaving probably in free agency. They're 31 million over the cap. Their star tight ends retiring. Honestly, it would not surprise me. Like, and I said this earlier this year. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but just based on what Reed was saying at the end of the last year after the Super Bowl, I was like, I think he might retire. I'm leaning more and more towards almost 100%. He's going to retire after this year. If everything is what they're saying is with the offensive line, the players leaving, the cap, if Mahomes is declining a little bit, Travis Kelsey retiring, all this stuff, he could be like, you know what? I got my rings. I got my money. I'm almost 70 years old. I don't feel like rebuilding this team again.
I just don't
And he
see him
just,
walking out this way, Eddie. I don't see him like he'll just walk away, because that's gonna be like in his
it's going
legacy
to be
that his
hard.
last. Yeah,
It's going to be hard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt. But think about all the work he's going to have to do to rebuild this team. There's no guarantee. And also the fact that the division's better. The Broncos are the one
yeah,
seed right now. The Chargers are fighting hard to stay in the playoffs. Like, with all that stuff I listed, plus the division being harder, Muhammad, I just don't see him coming back. He'd be like, man, this is going to be too much damn work. I'm
yeah.
old. I got my rings. I got my money. I'm going home. I'm going to go home and spend
But
time with my wife. I'm
Hall
done.
of Famer, yeah, Hall of Famer, no doubt.
You know, and, you know, it's just, I don't, I could be wrong. He might stay another year, maybe, but with everything that's going, stacked up against the Chiefs that's coming up off season, dude, Reed, you got like, I mean, I know you probably love the game, but dude, you got nothing to prove. You've got 3 rings, bro. You got the money. You're going to be a Hall of Fame coach. Go relax and enjoy the rest of your. You're almost 70, bro. Go enjoy your life a little bit while you can.
Exactly.
I just even coaching, not just being a player, but even coaching is a grind every year.
Absolutely. Especially with his
You know,
age. I mean, he's not young. You like I said, he's almost 70. So
yeah. That's why I think, and that's why I think the Raiders ain't playing that good. Pete Carroll's just like he I think Pete Carroll's a big, example. Like the guy is 70 freaking what, 3 or 4.
mhm.
He loves the game, which I respect. He loves the game to death. But dude, you're 70 something years old. Being a head coach of a team that is in that much dysfunction like the Raiders. Now I'm not comparing the Chiefs to the Raiders, I'm just saying. But with all the stuff that's coming up for the Chiefs this year, it's like you got to rebuild the team. You got to retool the offensive line, the tight end room, the receivers. You got to the off or the defense. I'm sorry. You got to work the. You got to figure out the cap. You got to do all this shit. And Pete Carroll is an example of dude like what like the grind of the game. That's why I don't think Pete Carroll is really like cut out for the Raiders. He's not going to change a culture. He's 74. The grind of being a coach, man, I don't think he's up
Can't
for it
do
no
it
more.
for
He's
yeah,
tired.
exactly. I mean, he could stay if he really likes the game, Eddie. He could be involved with it just in a different capacity. You don't have to be a
Yeah.
coach. It's too
Be
much.
like someone that, helps like you even being an offensive coordinator would be less stressed than being a head coach.
Exactly.
Or what the Bucks did with what was his name? Bruce Arians after or no, Pete Carroll actually it happened to, like the Seahawks. And I think it happened to or not Adrian Peterson, Bruce Arians too. Like the Bucks and the Seahawks were like, hey, you know what? We appreciate what you did for the team, win the Super Bowl and everything, but we're going to put you in a front office role.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah. And Reed could still be around the game, but he ain't going to have to deal with the grind of being a head coach no
it's
more. He
hard.
can, if he wants to be around the game that bad.
I mean, I heard
That's
that
what I
coaches
would do.
have to be there like early in the morning, and then just like
Yep.
the players doing, they're not young. I mean, come on, it's
Yeah,
constant.
definitely.
It's a lot of work.
But next thing I want to talk about is that Chargers versus Eagles game, man. Oh my God. That game came down to the wire last night. And I'm not trying to get any hate from Eagles fans, but what the hell, Jalen Hurts? He threw 4 interceptions last night, bro. I
Yeah,
watched that game. It was terrible. I was rooting for the Eagles to win because I wanted the Chargers to get knocked down a peg. But he had that last interception. He was throwing on the run, not really cross by, but throwing on the run, dude. There was 2 defenders back there next to the receiver, and he just right to the one DB deflected it. The other one came over and was like, "Thank you." But that game last night, it makes the Chargers now. The Broncos are 11-2. The Chargers, I believe, are 9-4. I believe.
I don't like that,
So
Eddie.
the Chargers are around. I mean, they're still 2 games back. We're still 2 games ahead of them. But what were your thoughts last night on the game? Because I was rooting for the Chargers to lose.
I know. I don't think the Chargers really won. The Eagles just beat themselves, Eddie. You can't throw 4 interceptions except and expect to win. That's just
Yeah.
not gonna happen. And I had a. It's funny that you said that because I had a conversation with the Eagles fan, right? And I told him, you guys should just win this game. I said the Chargers have no O line, zero. All their O line is out on IR. There's no reason. Just give Barkley the ball, run the ball. You'll win it. Control the clock. But apparently they did not do that. So that's what happens. But I don't know, Eddie. Like Chargers making me a little nervous. I didn't want them to go this deep, but like I said, we're still like 2 games ahead of them. So
Yeah, we're still 2 games ahead of them. This game this week against the Packers is really big in my opinion. But before we get to that game, oh excuse me, I want to talk to you about the other big game the Broncos are really going to be watching this week, in my opinion. And I was asking Bronco fans this earlier. Of course, the most common response I got was they're like, I hope it ends in a tie. The Chargers at the Chiefs. This is a big game, not just for those two teams, but for us as well. Because I think Bronco fans are going to be watching this game closely. The reason why is because Chargers win. Okay, the Broncos have. If the Chargers win, the Broncos have to win. Because if not, then we're only going to be a game ahead of the Chargers for the division.
exactly.
You know, so we have to. The Chargers are going to be fighting to win. So the Broncos, regardless, they have to beat the Packers this weekend. They have to. Um, so it's either and the Chiefs, they're 6-7. Like their AFC West, the whole of them or the streak of them winning the AFC West is over. That ended this past week against the Houston Texans. That's over.
Yeah.
But their playoff hopes, though slim, I think it's like 15% to make the play. They have to win out, and a lot of things got to break their way. But with this game between the Chargers and Chiefs this weekend, you got two evils here. You got like either way it goes, I guess you could say it's a positive maybe for the Broncos and a negative. You could say both, either way it goes. But I want to get your thoughts, Mohammed. What would you rather have happen? The Chargers beat the Chiefs, get a game closer, possibly, or stay right on the Broncos' heels, but the Chiefs be completely eliminated from the playoffs, or the Chiefs win, knock the Chargers back more from us, but the Chiefs keep their playoff hopes alive. What would you rather see this weekend?
I want the Chiefs to beat the Chargers. I don't want them to win, honestly. And the Chargers are not good, Eddie. I'm sorry, they're just not. If they play a good defense, they're not going to win because of their O-line situation. So the Chiefs should win. Do I want the Chargers to win? No, I want the Chiefs to win. It's because like you said, they're going to be like a game behind if we do lose somehow. So I don't like that idea. I hope I'm going to be a Chiefs fan. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I want the Chiefs to win, so the Chargers could go back. But it's like a catch-22 because that means the Chiefs could go to the playoffs. That could help them go to the playoffs. So. But yeah, I don't know, Eddie.
Well, I forgot to mention this, but the Chiefs' remaining schedule is the Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. Okay. They got the Chargers at home. I think the Titans on the road. They got the Broncos at home, and they got the Raiders on the road. So their two hardest games are at home. Their two easiest games are on the road. The Chargers, I believe, have the Chiefs this weekend. Oh, man, I forgot to look at the Chargers schedule. They got the Broncos week 18. They got the Chiefs this week. So basically, the only it's really hard, man. I thought long and hard about this, and as well as anybody, Muhammad, like the Chiefs to me are like what the Raiders are to the majority of Broncos country. Yeah, Bronco fans hate the Chargers, they hate the Chiefs, but they despise the Raiders.
Yeah.
Most of Broncos country. Yeah, exactly. I hate the Raiders. I hate the Chargers. Of course I do. They're division rivals. But I despise the Kansas City Chiefs only because I grew up there around Chief fans and they just drove me nuts my entire life. So it's really hard for me to do this, but I'm picking the Chiefs to win.
Yeah.
I want the Chiefs to win this game just for the simple fact that the Chiefs can help the Broncos out. Like if the Broncos for, unholy, for God forbid they lose against the Packers. If we lose and we drop to 11-3, but the Chiefs beat the Chargers, they're what is it, 9-6, I believe at that point. No, 9-4. I'm sorry, they're 9-4 right now, but if they lose, they'll be 9-5. That'll keep them 2 games behind the Broncos. If the Broncos were to lose to the Packers and the Chargers were to lose to the Chiefs, worst case scenario for the Broncos this week for the division anyway would be Broncos win, Chargers. I'm sorry, Broncos lose, Chargers win, because then that means they're a game behind us. Granted, we still have to play them later this year, but I don't want it to be that close. I want to have the division locked up by week 18. Or I'm sorry, not the division. Yeah, the division and the 1 seed. I want to have that all locked up by week 18 so we can rest our starters week 18 against the Chargers. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs in this game. God, that just made me feel sick saying it. But yeah, because honestly, I don't like to be honest, the Chiefs beat the Chargers. Their playoff hopes are alive. They'll be sitting at 7-7. Their best case scenario is they win out and they go 10-7. And honestly, I don't think that's enough for them to make the playoffs. The Texans got the tiebreaker. The Chargers, I don't know how it would go if the Chiefs beat the Chargers this week, but they beat them earlier in the season. So I think it's common opponents at that point. And I think the Chargers have a better record against common opponents. So they'd still be ahead of the Chiefs. The Texans will be ahead of the Chiefs, and the Bills are ahead of the Chiefs because they got the tiebreaker over them. So that, and I think the Chiefs, if they beat the Chargers, they got the Tennessee Titans the next week. I'm 100% sure they're going to beat the Titans. Titans are one of the worst teams in football. Even though the Chiefs have been bad, they're not that bad. If they lose to the Titans, Andy Reid does need to fucking retire. He just needs to walk away from fucking football if they lose to the Titans, regardless if it's on the road or not. And Patrick Mahomes should retire at that point. I'd be embarrassed. But then week 17, you got the Broncos in Denver. Dude, the Chiefs can keep their playoff hopes alive with 2 more wins. Like, granted, they still need a lot of help. But if they beat the Chargers, it knocks the Chargers back from us. We win against the Packers. We beat the Jags. I want to be the team to officially eliminate the Chiefs from the playoffs. We go into Arrowhead week 17. We just smack their asses right out of the playoffs.
You would love that.
Dude, that would be that, and if the Broncos get the 1 seed and they win the Super Bowl, that would be just a cherry on top of a freaking great season for us. So, yeah, I want the Chiefs to win this Sunday against the Chargers, knock the Chargers back from us, let the Chiefs have their 2 little game win streak, and then we walk in the fucking Arrowhead Christmas Day, just smack the Chiefs right out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that game against the Raiders ain't going to mean jack shit week 18
nope.
For the Chiefs. And it'd be funny if they lost to the Raiders in week 18 in their season finale. Possibly
that would be funny, yeah. That would be fun.
Because, yeah, that'd be great. But let's talk about the Broncos here for a second. The Broncos' final 4 games. We kind of touched on it earlier. Packers. And I want to get your take on this, Mohammed. We're going to go through each game individually. I'm going to list the teams off that we have left. We're going to go through game by game real quick, not take too long on them, and give our predictions on what we think those games could be, because we usually don't do predictions on this channel very much. So let's just do it now since we only got 4 games left anyway. Okay, so we got the Packers here at home. We got the Jags here at home, KC in Kansas City, and then we close out the season here at home against the Chargers. Now, note, 3 of the last 4 games for the Broncos are here at home. The Broncos have not lost at home since like midway through the 2024 season. And I'm going to start by saying this week against the Packers, it's not going to happen. It's not going to start this week. We beat the Green Bay Packers. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, Eddie, I'm not going to lie. It's making me a little nervous. I mean, I know the Broncos just like they're on like a win streak. But if they end up beating the Green Bay Packers, we should just go to the Super Bowl. Seriously, like this is a very good team, all phases. So I trust our defense. I trust our team, but I think it's probably going to be a little bit closer than we think. It's probably
I believe it's going to be close. Yeah, it'll be a close game. But I think the Broncos walk out with a dub. They're not going to lose at home. Not with the 1 seed on the line. not with, basically, just I mean, not everything. I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs regardless, but the one seed and division possibly being on the line, the Broncos ain't going to lose a home game. The next week, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars in Denver. Good team. They're fighting for their division hopes. Like, they're wanting to win their division. I mean, it's getting tight down there in the South, man. The Jags, Texans, I mean, the Colts, I guess you could say they're basically dead since they lost Daniel Jones. But the Texans are still fighting hard. And actually, I think the Chargers face the Texans later this season, too. I don't know if it's in Los Angeles or if it's in Houston, but I'm pretty sure the Texans play the Chargers week 16 or week 17, I believe. They face the Houston Texans, the Chargers. But the Jags and Chargers are fighting for that division. Again, I like the Jags. They're fun to watch. Trevor Lawrence has been decent this year. Their defense has been solid. But again, I'm taking the Broncos to win this game. They are not losing at home. If they can beat the Packers at home, which I believe they can, they beat the Chiefs at home. Hell, they beat the Eagles on the damn road. They beat the best defense in their house in Houston. They're not losing to the Jags at home. So I'm taking Denver in that game.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And there's no way we're going to lose to the Jacks. They shouldn't even be a problem for us. Travis Lawrence, he should be running for his life, and he will be.
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree, man. Like, you're not wrong on that one. Next up, our Week 17 game, Christmas Day. We got the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, honestly, this is the one game I feel like I said earlier this season the Packers were the ones that scare me.
Mm-hmm.
But this is before knowing what we know now. The division's on the line basically for the Broncos, or it could be. The one seed is definitely going to be on the line for the Broncos. So I'm like, they're not going to lose any of their home games. They must win those home games because the Chiefs game, even though I think the Chiefs are, they're falling off a cliff quick. Like, they're not playing well. They just got beat by the best defense in the league. We shut down Patrick Mahomes earlier this season. They only scored 19 points. I'm pretty sure one of those touchdowns in that game was a garbage time touchdown. So basically that game was like 13 to freaking, 22 or something. Or 16 to 22. I can't remember the exact score. I had to go back and look at the highlights. But we're going to be walking in Arrowhead. I think at that point, the Chiefs are going to still be fighting for their playoff lives. Like, granted, like I said, a lot of things got to break their way. Other teams got to help them to get in. But again, they have to win out on their own. That's one portion of them making the playoffs they can control is them to win out.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie, this game scares me. You're gonna have a desperate Chiefs team. If they're still alive and things go the way I think they're gonna go, I think they're gonna beat the Titans next week. This week, I think they're gonna beat the Chargers. And it's gonna be a hard fought game, but I think they're gonna do it. That's gonna because I don't think the Raiders are gonna be the one. The Raiders or Titans are gonna be the two teams that shut down the Chiefs and end their playoff hopes. I think it's gonna come down to the Broncos. So the Chiefs are gonna know they're gonna be walking into that game thinking, okay, this is it. If we don't win this game, the only thing we can control, we're done. And they also are gonna want to play spoiler to the Denver Broncos to be like, you know what, we're not gonna let you either win the division or get the one. So it's gonna be a hard fought game. But I just think the defense, Sean Payton, Bo Nix, they're going to be like, no, you've been beating our ass for 10 years. That ain't happening. We don't care. We know last year, man, the Broncos were a block field goal away from beating the Chiefs. The Chiefs team, I'm not saying we're wanting it more at that point last year than they would this year because the playoffs are on the line this year, but last year their undefeated streak was on the line. Because the whole hype all that entire year was, can the Chiefs go undefeated? Can the Chiefs go three-peat? So everything was on. I mean, there was a lot on the line last year. I don't think it's nearly as much this year because this year it's the whole playoffs. Mm-hmm. At that point, they're going to be 8-7, walking into that game. They lose that, they're going to go 9-8 at best. They lose one more game, they go 9-8 at best. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I'm taking the Broncos. One seed, division on the line. The Broncos ain't playing this year, bro. They're not.
Nope.
The Chiefs are basically – their dynasty is dead. And I think the Broncos put the nail in the coffin for the Chiefs. I think they end their little Mickey Mouse dynasty. They shut down their playoff hopes, and the Broncos walk over there with a dub. What are your thoughts?
Um, well, I mean, Eddie, like you said, that it's if you look at it, they're really gonna need that game more than we do because at that point we're already in the playoffs, right? We're trying to keep the division alive. I mean, try and control the division, trying to keep that number one seed. So it's a little bit different. It's like I said, it's gonna be like the Green Bay Packer game. It's gonna be difficult, but I believe in our team, Eddie. At the end of the day, the defense not gonna let them. So go Broncos, man.
Yeah,
Dominate. Yeah.
I'm taking the Broncos in that game. I got them. I got the Broncos in that game majorly. Now, Week 18. This one gets interesting to me because I see two scenarios for Week 18. If things can play out the way I think they're going to play out in those first three games against the Packers, the Jags, and the Chiefs, I think the Broncos win all three of those games. Depending on how the Patriots do, what they look like, and what the Chargers spent, doing those 3 weeks leading up to that Week 18 game. Two scenarios I see here. Either the Broncos are still trying to, fight for the division possibly and fighting for the 1 seed possibly. Going out there and saying, you know what, this is our season, not our season, but this is basically for us to win the division and for us to get the 1 seed. It's either that scenario or by that time, the Chargers, they're basically out of the division race. They're not going to do it. Or I'm sorry. No, that's not what I wanted to say. The Broncos are basically at Week 18, got the 1 seed locked up, got the division locked up. They're like, we got everything locked up. No matter what happens Week 18, we're the 1 seed. We're the first in the West. We're good. And they rest their starters. Now, kind of like KC did against Denver last year. And so those are the two biggest scenarios for the Broncos. And I think those are the two ways, one of those ways it's going to go, out of those two. It's going to go one of those two ways. The Chargers are going to be like, playing to maybe keep their playoff hopes alive, maybe depending on how it turns out, whatever happens, But the Broncos had the 1 seed and the division locked up. And they're like, hey, we're going to rest our starters. We're good. We don't want to get hurt in a meaningless game. Or the Broncos are still trying to fight for the 1 seed in the division, and they're going to come out. If the Broncos have to, play their starters so they're still fighting for the 1 seed and the AFC West, I believe they're going to win. They're going to dominate the Chargers, time of possession. Be like, you know what, you got us once this year. You ain't getting us at home. That's another home game. They're not going to be like, hey, we're going to lose at home. The only way I see the Broncos losing that game at home is if they allow the Chargers to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning which, the Broncos got everything locked up, and it's like we're not going to play our starters to get hurt before the playoffs. And they just play their backups, and they just basically give it to the Chargers, kind of like the Broncos gave it, or the Chiefs gave it to the Broncos last year.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on Week 18's game. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie, you're right. I honestly feel like at that point, I feel like we're not going to play our starters. I think we're going to be in a good position where we don't need to. And if that happens, it's going to be a meaningless game. I mean, it'll just be like practice for our backups. So hopefully that's the case because that will mean that we've secured that number 1 seed and we don't even have to worry about it. So, yeah, it wouldn't matter.
To give our starters 2 weeks off. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. We've seen how sluggish they look coming out of the bye week this year against the Commanders. We've seen how sluggish they were. I mean, that was Pat Surtain's first game back after the injury. He was definitely sluggish. And the whole defense just looked lackadaisical. Like, they just did not look like they were ready. Like, are we still on the bye or we got a game this week? That's kind of how they look coming out. And I just, oh man, I want the other scenario. I want us to be still fighting for the division and fighting for the 1 seed. That way our starters will play Week 18. Because I think 2 weeks off, I think that's gonna be way too much for this team. I think because you don't want to come back in the divisional round, having 2 weeks off and you just get smacked by whoever the hell it is. Because you're still thinking you're on a bye, especially 2 weeks. I think that's way too much time.
Long time.
A week, I think they can handle. 2 weeks,
sure,
I think that's
Sean Payton will make the right decision, Eddie, when it comes to it.
Well, I mean, it's not so much up to Sean; it's up to the Patriots too. Because if the Browns are still fighting for the 1 seed at that point, that means the Patriots are still in contention. So he's going to have to send the starters out there week 18 if that's the case. Like, hey, we need to win this game. We got the 1 seed. That way, the Broncos starters at least play week 18, and they don't have 2 weeks off. They get a week off to heal and get ready. That way, because that scares me, Muhammad. It really does. I'm not going to lie.
That's a
After
long
seeing, after seeing how they came out against the Commanders after their bye week, just a week off, that scared me because we almost lost that game because the team just did not look ready to go. 2 weeks off, God, I don't even want to imagine what that would be or what it would look like. So, but I got the Broncos basically winning out. I think the scenario is the Broncos are going to be fighting, up until week 18 for the 1 seed. I think that's the way it's going to go because the Patriots, again, they have one of the easiest schedules. I mean, they got the Bills this week, they got the Ravens, they got the Jets and Dolphins. They end out the season. I don't know who's their last game, but I know it's either the Jets or Dolphins. I just don't know which one's first and which one's last. But I feel like, but this could also, like, again, it could be where if I believe the Broncos basically went out, or again, it's all going to depend on this week, I think. Because I think the Broncos are going to beat the Packers. I think they're going to beat the Jags, and I think they're going to beat the Chiefs. It all depends on the Patriots game this weekend. Like if the Buffalo Bills beat the Patriots and the Broncos win their next 3, it doesn't matter what happens in week 18. Because again, we have the tiebreaker over the because at that point, say the Patriots lose to the Bills this week, right? They'll be 11-3. Okay. 11-3. If the Broncos won this 3-game win streak, they'll be 14-2 going into week 18. And the Broncos can rest their starters, lose, go 14-3, and the Patriots win. Wait, is that right? Oh yeah, and they win out. Say they win their last 3 games against the Ravens, Jets, and Dolphins. The Broncos will be 14-3 if they lose to that game. If they win their first 3, lose to the Chargers week 18 because they're resting their starters, and then the Patriots, they lose to Buffalo this week, and then they win out the rest of the season. Both teams are going to be 14-3 at the end of week 18.
We got the tiebreaker.
The Broncos are going to have that tiebreaker.
Yep.
They by week 18 at that point, if that happens, like if they lose, if the Broncos win their next 3 games, the Patriots lose against the Buffalo Bills this week. Walking into week 18, like, hey, it doesn't matter if the Patriots win today or if we lose. We got the common tiebreaker over them, so we're going to get the 1 seed. They're going to rest their starters. So that's possibly, I think, the way it's going to go. Because, like I said, unless that Chiefs game could be tricky. I mean, the Chiefs could pull it out, and then if that's the case, if the Chiefs wind up winning that game, we beat like I said, I don't think we're going to lose at home unless we have, like, week 18, unless we're resting our starters. That's the only way we're going to lose at home. We're not losing the Jags. We're not losing to the Packers.
But Eddie, this week coming up, it's gonna be very interesting because a lot of scenarios could happen. I can't wait. A lot of things, a lot of teams might clinch the playoffs, and it's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, but yeah. So basically, that's what I'm thinking is, I think the Broncos win their next 2 games. And like I said, I think they're gonna beat KC and Kansas City to finally shut the door. But again, that game could go either way, especially if Kansas City is still trying to fight for its playoff lives. The Chiefs could win that game. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's 100% certain the Broncos are going to win that game. I think they can win, but the Chiefs could surprise us. And if that's the case, week 18 becomes a lot more important.
Yep.
At that point. So, but the last thing I want to touch on before we get into our comments here, Muhammad, we got a few. The news broke today that the Indianapolis Colts, in their desperation, after Daniel Jones went down with a horrible Achilles injury, or was it an Achilles? Yeah, it was an Achilles. I feel bad for the guy. He was having a good season.
Yeah, he was.
The Colts go out and sign, I believe, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers to their practice squad. What are your thoughts on this, Mohammed?
Eddie, it came on my timeline, and I honestly thought it was fake. Because you know how you be getting all these fake things about different quarterbacks, like, and I'm like, I did not believe it. And then I go to the NFL.com and I see it. I'm like, are they for real? What is he going to do? How desperate can you be?
Desperate.
Nick, yeah, I mean, Nick Benito is waiting for him. If somehow we play him on the playoffs, they make he's gonna be come on, one
Well,
hit.
I understand the move. I kind of do. I know he's 44. He hasn't played football in years, but it's like they don't like they got like a young quarterback. I forgot what his name is, but he came out and played last week after Daniel Jones went down. The guy looked like garbage. Now you could say it's because of limited reps that week. He was the backup. Maybe he'll look better. I think that's probably why they signed him, the Philip Rivers, to the practice squad, is because they're like, hey, we're gonna see how this kid looks, this week and see what happens. Because they're at this point they're fighting for a wild card. I think they're in third place in their division.
Mhm.
I think they're sitting at the 6th or 7th seed right now, the Colts. So they'll probably practice both Philip Rivers and this young kid, and whoever looks better in practice this week probably be the starter. I know they signed him to the practice spot, but they can elevate him before the game this week. If Philip Rivers comes out and looks better than the younger kid, they could possibly elevate Rivers to the active roster and play him this week. And to me, this says more about Anthony Richardson than it does the Indianapolis Colts.
True.
Now, I don't know. Is Anthony Richardson still hurt? Is he out for the season? Because he's been out for weeks. Or he's been out for the entire season, man. Like, he hasn't played.
He
Except for
stays
that
hurt.
one game when Daniel Jones got hurt.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if he's hurt or if they're just like, we don't want to play this kid because he's garbage. But if Anthony Richardson's healthy, you got to ask, like, dude, they really do not believe in Anthony. If that's the case, they're willing to bring in a 44-year-old guy that hasn't played in years back. That should tell you everything you need to know about Anthony Richardson. I don't think he has an NFL career after this. So, but man, that they're saying that Philip Rivers, 44-year-old Philip Rivers, hasn't been in the league in like what 3-4 years now, gives us a better chance to make the playoffs and win than Anthony Richardson does. A top freaking 5 pick.
Eddie, like I guess if Flacco, I guess Flacco's still with the Browns, right? Or the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
If he wasn't signed, they would have signed him. They probably would.
Dude, well, they can't trade for him. I think he's still actively on the Bengals. So unless the Bengals cut him, the Colts can't trade for him.
They wouldn't. They really would. They're not going to cut him.
So, like, if because honestly, I believe that. Like, if the Browns, or was it the Browns? No, the Bengals. If the Bengals would have cut Joe Flacco already, I guarantee you that would have been the first phone call the freaking Colts would have made.
Hey, they have a good offense. He got a good running back, good tight end. It's good.
A couple good receivers, got a solid defense.
Exactly.
If Joe Flacco was a free agent, like, hey man, we need a quarterback. You want to play and help us get into the playoffs?
Yep. So, he could do that for you.
But since he's still on the Bengals, they had to go that route. So
exactly.
But that was funny, man. Whenever I first saw it, I do the same thing. Like, I see something, I go on Twitter and I double check, because if you just see one posting about it, typically it's fake. But if you go on to like Twitter or something, or even Facebook, or just online in general, and you see a bunch of different freaking things saying the same thing, then you're like, okay, it's real. Because if it's fake, it's only gonna be like one thing. But if there's like a lot of things saying the same thing, usually it's real. And whenever I found out it was real, I was like, damn, Indianapolis is really freaking desperate, man. They want to win. And I don't blame them, again, because the AFC is as wide open as it's been in years. It ain't the top dog. Like, the top dogs in the AFC, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills. The only team out of those that's, even in the playoff picture right now is the Buffalo Bills, and they're in the wild card behind the Patriots. Yeah. You got all new teams in there this year. You got Broncos, Patriots, Jacksonville, and the Steelers won last week, so they're back in the playoff picture. So, man, this is like a reminiscence of 2015 all over again, bro. It's wild. Besides the Jags being good, but you got the Patriots and Broncos on top of the fucking conference, dude. This is 2015. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I will say this. As much of those trolls on Twitter have been, talking smack about, oh, Drake May's better than Bo Nix, the Broncos or the Patriots are better than the Broncos. I hope to God we play the Patriots in the freaking playoffs. I really do.
We will. This is gonna be a really good game too.
Because we're gonna Their defense is good. Don't get me wrong. Broncos are better. Our offensive line's better. Our weapons are better. Our coach is better. And our quarterback's better. We're going to smack the living shit out of them if we play them in the playoffs. I want to play the Patriots in the playoffs. Like, seriously. And I want to play the Bills. I want to get our freaking win back from I want to get that game back from last year where they whooped us in the playoffs.
If we play them, we're gonna beat. Yeah, we're beating them, Eddie. If we play the Bills again, we're gonna beat them.
I want them to come to Denver so we can just smack the shit out of them.
Yeah, we're not the same team they played last season.
No, we're not. And I want the Patriots to come to Denver so we can smack the shit out of them.
Exactly.
You know, hey, Patriot fans, you talk a lot of smack. Hey, Buffalo, you beat us last year, but guess what? You're coming to our house this year, and we're going to beat the living shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. That's if we get the 1 seed, Muhammad, and we only got to play in the divisional and the AFC Championship game, I want those to be our two opponents, the Patriots and the Bills. That's who I want.
Here and then we sail to the Super Bowl, Eddie.
And honestly, I don't care who we play in the Super Bowl, but in the championship game and the divisional round, I want it to be the Patriots and Bills.
That'd be awesome.
So, but let's see. We got a couple of comments here, Muhammad. We'll get these done before we get out of here tonight. We got Michael Ronquillo here. He's like, good evening, Ed Muhammad on Rocky Mountain Blitz. Go Broncos. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. You've been a strong supporter of this channel since we started, man. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Michael.
Let's see. We got another one here from Michael. He's like, if the Broncos beat the Packers on Sunday, they will clinch a 2025 NFL playoff. Yep. That was the other thing. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Michael. The Broncos win this weekend, they clinch a playoff spot. Now, again, the division's still up for grabs, but they're guaranteed a wild card. Like, if everything goes to shit the rest of the year for the Broncos after this game, but if they beat the Packers and everything goes to shit after that, the Broncos still get in the playoffs, plain and simple. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they win out and they just win their division and get the 1 seed. That'd be super. So you got another one here from Michael. He said the Broncos can clinch the 2025 NFL playoff spot with Denver win versus the Packers, Denver tie plus Los Angeles loss, the Denver tie plus Jacksonville loss, Denver tie, and Houston. Oh, wait. Okay. I see what he's saying.
Like all these different scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't even put Indy in this, Michael, because I think they're done. Like, I would not be surprised if the Colts lose out the rest of the year. If they lose out, they go 8-9. So I think the Colts are probably going to lose out. Houston, we got the tiebreaker over them. Currently, as it sits, the Chargers have the tiebreaker over us because they beat us earlier this year. So that's going to make that Week 18 game even more important that we win. And Jacksonville, we play them not this week, next week. We have to win that game. So, and I think we will. But yeah. So Michael is predicting a 3-1 or 3-1 the last 4 games. I mean, it's possible. I mean, that's probably more possible than me. But like I said, I think there's only 2 games I can see the Broncos losing. It's one of the divisional games. It's either the Chiefs come in to play spoiler, they're fighting for the playoff hopes, and we just lose in Kansas City. That's the only loss I can see. Or again, we clinch the division and the 1 seed by Week 18, and we just play our backups, and the Broncos lose to the Chargers, which a meaningless game. Who cares? You got everything locked up. So, but yeah, I do believe the bare minimum the Broncos go 3-1 in this final 4 games. What are your thoughts to Michael's thing here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Eddie, like the only team that I could see possibly beating us could be Green Bay, if you look at all the teams. But that could be the case. Could see that happening. Or if we win out and then we have the number 1 seed and we rest our starters in Week 18, that could be the game we lose. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday or Wednesday, to recap the Broncos and Packers game. So please come join us next week for that. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Muhammad, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I mean, Eddie, I'm happy where the Broncos at. I'm happy the offense finally kind of figured things out. We're about to be balanced and go Broncos. I mean, we're looking good.
Yeah, let's go. I can't wait until this weekend, man. I'll be glued to my TV Sunday watching that Packers game, watching the Chargers and Chiefs game. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. We will talk to you guys next week. Peace.